yeah, I think this data is public, so I can talk about it. So our first fundraise was very small, 15 lakhs. Right, and the second round, and we did raise 2 rounds, and totally it was less than 1.5 crores. And the reason was that we were very clear that so money, you all heard of that. Money is evil, right? Especially for a startup, money is a good thing and a bad thing. Like if you have too much money, you'll be like, oh, 3 saal ka paisa hai, let's go party and hire 20 people, right? We didn't want to be in that state. Like we were consciously trying to do our fundraise such that we had only like maybe a year or 12 months to 14 months of runway. And we did that so that there will be internal pressure in us to keep us loyal to our goal. Right? Because you don't want, like, investors are businessmen, right? So they're kind of, it's our responsibility. We've taken their money, and our responsibility is to sort of return that money to them. We cannot waste that money, and there was also a lot of investor interest in the client. I'm sure, like, if we wanted to, we could have raised a much bigger round. But I think that discipline that we had among us that really paid off, because you always want to be in that state where you're hungry. If you eat too much, you're full and you want to sleep. You don't, as a startup, you don't want that. And so we consciously, at every step of the stage, we're like doing all the maths and the budgeting and the numbers, and like 12 months of runway, right? 12 months of runway. And you like this, we always had this, we were trying to create that internal pressure that this works in 12 months or we fail. Right? And when you have that sword hanging over your head, that you have only 12 months, man. Like you've got to sell, like you've got to build this product, you have to build this feature. The customer is like asking for all these 20 different things, and we don't know how to, But that kind of constant pressure is innovation. And I think one of the many underrated aspects of innovation is actually constraints. Innovation happens in constraints. Like if you are sitting and you don't have any constraints, and you're like, I'm going to build whatever that comes from internal, like. Very hard to do innovation, like, and probably smart people can do it, but I'm pretty dumb. I can't work like that, right? So constraints actually foster innovation, and oh my God, we had like so many constraints, right? 5 senior people, very little money, spending a lot of money on travel, customers, insanely expensive products, so customers constantly saying that, give me my money's worth, right? And they're kind of expecting you to build these features, and customers kind of asking us for advice and debugging. I'm not kidding you. Customers will send us their apps and saying, debug it. We're a product company, right? But anyway, so we had this thing and a lot of constraints. And what I found, and I'm a big believer of this now, is that innovation happens inside constraints. Because we had so many challenges, so many sort of obstacles, we would find some way around it, right? And that actually turned out to be a lot of innovative new technology, innovative new things that, and this is really the advantage of a startup. Like if you're doing a startup like this, you have to totally embrace this, because look, in our case, we were competing with the big guys, right? Like Facebook had its own internal team, Google has its own tools team, and here's a small 5-person company sitting in Bangalore trying to like build a world-class product. And how is this small team going to outcompete the big guys? And the reason startups move fast is because they're able to innovate. And how do you innovate? You have to innovate around constraints. Those are your own constraints, they're your customers' constraints, and that's how I'm a big believer of this now. Like you can compete and you can grow fast because you embrace the constraints.